So if you're a single person moving to Atlanta, you're going to want to watch this video. I'm going to give you my top 5 best neighborhoods in Atlanta for singles, coming up right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to Living in Atlanta. This YouTube channel is all about what it's like to live in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Mark. Make sure you subscribe and tap that bell to be notified because I do post videos at random times throughout the week, so make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss a video. All right, so last week's video, we talked about the best neighborhoods for families. I thought it would only be right to talk about singles. What are the best neighborhoods for someone who's single, looking to mingle, looking to have a lot of things to do in the city? We're gonna get right into it. I have 5 neighborhoods for you that are absolutely ideal if you're a single person looking for fun things to do and looking for new people to meet. Now, the criteria I used for these neighborhoods was as followed. If you're a single person, you probably want to live somewhere where you can easily meet lots of other people, get to know people, friends, maybe a relationship, just have lots of people around that you can build relationships with. And the second thing is lots of fun things to do, right? You don't want to have to drive an hour to go to a fun event. You want to have at least a few awesome fun things to do right in your neighborhood. And finally, you probably want to be in or near the city, but you also want to be safe. You don't want to be in a neighborhood where you're, nervous to walk at night or nervous about, some criminal activity. So you want a neighborhood that you're going to feel at least relatively safe in and comfortable living in. So those are the 3 criteria I used for the following neighborhoods. Let's get right into it. Now, before we get into the list real quick, I have to tell you, I was on a call the other day with a new client looking to purchase a home in the Atlanta, Georgia area. They were telling me they were having a lot of trouble with their realtor, figuring out where the best place for them was, and also figuring out the process with them not being in the state, and they just didn't feel like they were getting the job done. So they reached out to me and said, "Oh, I love your videos. You provided so much value. I've seen every one of your videos, and I thought, this realtor is not working out. Let me give Mark a call." And all I could say was, actually, I was just thinking this was, why didn't you call me in the first place? Okay, this has actually happened a lot in the last few years. People get connected with realtors, or maybe they work with a nephew who has their license, and they run into some troubles. They run into some, difficulties, uncomfortability, ineffectiveness, unprofessionalism, whatever it is. So all that to say, if you are looking to buy or sell a home in the Atlanta area, make sure I'm your first call. We help people relocate here from other states and from other places around Atlanta all the time. We absolutely love it. So save yourself time and a headache and give me a call first if you're looking to buy or sell. All right, so let's get right into it. My top 5 Atlanta neighborhoods for singles. All right, coming in at number 1, this is gonna seem like a very obvious, straightforward pick, but it's the number 1 pick for a reason, and it is Midtown. Now, this seems like an obvious choice. If you know anything about Atlanta, obviously, Midtown is one of the most desirable places for anyone to live, whether it's a family or a single person. Everyone wants to be close to Midtown because there is so much to do. It's really the cultural, artistic center of Atlanta. This is where, a lot of the museums, a lot of the theater productions are. The High Museum, the Fox Theater. There's tons of performing arts centers in this district. So not only do you have some of the best amenities that any Atlantan would want to participate in, but you also have Piedmont Park. And this is, this is a great place for a single person to hang out and enjoy. Obviously, it's a great place for anyone to enjoy, but this is where you're going to see a lot of the city, right? This is the most popular park in Atlanta. Beautiful, wide open green space. It's a perfect opportunity to make new friends or just to hang out by yourself if you're feeling like a loner that day. So not only does it have all the performance art centers and the art galleries and museums and the Fox Theater and Piedmont Park, but this is also where most of the festivals are, right? Atlanta is known for having a lot of great festivals, whether it's Music Midtown or Shaky Knees or Shaky Beats, or Pride Festival. There are endless festivals, and many of them take place in Midtown. So again, this is just really where a lot of stuff is happening. Now, of course, it is more expensive, right? It is one of the most expensive areas to live in the city. I'm going to assume, probably as a single person, you may not be looking to buy in Midtown, but you can rent in Midtown. Obviously, there's plenty of high-rise condominium buildings, plenty of old apartment buildings that have a lot of character, 100 plus years old. So there are a lot of living options. And if you just need one bedroom, if you need a small space, you can still probably live here relatively affordably. So purchasing real estate in Midtown might not be a possibility for you as a single person at this point in your life, or it may be. I think it's a great place to live. It's in the city. You will never run out of things to do, and your likelihood of meeting new people, new friend groups, and just having endless fun things to do is going to be highest in Midtown Atlanta. Also, if you're a gay single person, this is probably one of the best locations that you would want to live in as well. One of the largest gay communities in Georgia is centered in the Midtown area. It's a very welcoming and diverse and inclusive space, so that could be important for some of my viewers out there, so keep that in mind as well. Now, the other thing Midtown has going for it, and I could talk about Midtown for, an hour, is all the things to do, all the diversity and inclusivity, but also a lot of businesses, right? Google, Microsoft, they both have presences in the Midtown area at this point. So even from a perspective of starting your career or moving to the next level in your career, Midtown is also a place that you want to be. All right, coming in at number 2, I have Castleberry Hill. Now, honestly, I was thinking I haven't talked enough about Castleberry Hill. This is a really cool, historic warehouse district close to downtown Atlanta. I don't think it gets talked about enough. It's unique. It's kind of funky. It's a lot different from some of the other bland neighborhoods you'll see around Atlanta. But it is a warehouse district. It's got a very industrial feel, which I think is really cool. So just from a neighborhood to live in and a building to live in, I think you're going to see a lot of really cool lofts for rent that have that industrial feel, which I know a lot of people love. And this is an arts district. There are a lot of art galleries, and there are a lot of independent business owners in Castleberry Hill. It very much has an entrepreneurial feel. It also has a very artsy feel to it. There aren't as many of the big corporation businesses in Castleberry Hill. A lot of it is like locally owned. People in the community own these businesses that you'll shop around at. So great place for entrepreneurs, great place for artists. Lots of filming goes on down here. There's always those big lighting trucks parked somewhere in Castleberry Hill, whether it's for Walking Dead or some other kind of production. Very popular spot for filming if you're in the film industry. It's also slightly on the west side of Atlanta, and it's adjacent to a lot of the historically black colleges and universities. So there's going to be a lot of young people in this area. There's going to be a lot of single people in this area. There's good restaurants. There's nightclubs. There's plenty to do in Castleberry Hill, but also you're practically in downtown Atlanta. So if you want to go to Midtown, which you were just talking about, that's like 10 minutes. It's not far away. You're not really going to be far from anything. So not a lot of people talk about Castleberry Hill. I think it's a super cool, super funky place to live. I think it's still relatively affordable if you're looking to rent. Again, if you're looking to buy, you're in the heart of the city. It's going to get a little bit more expensive, but really cool buildings, cool things to do. And I think it's an area where a single person would have no problem meeting a lot of other people and having a lot of fun things to do. All right, coming in at number 3 on the list, I have Inman Park. Now again, this isn't a sexy pick. It's a pretty obvious pick, but the reality is Inman Park is one of the best locations for a single person to live. It's just incredibly popular in terms of the things to do. First of all, it has one of the most walkable areas on Highland Ave where you can, walk from restaurant to restaurant. Very happening at night and on the weekends. So lots of really nice high-end restaurants in Inman Park itself. It's a Beltline neighborhood. It's right off the Beltline. So this is a neighborhood where you can go for a jog, you can go for a bike ride, you can go for a walk, you can get on the scooter, you can walk your dog. This is a part of the city that really feels connected to other parts of the city. It's a place where on the weekends, everyone's going to be out and about on the Beltline around Inman Park. They're going to be stopping in Inman Park to get lunch, hopping back on the Beltline, maybe to head north to Piedmont Park. So it's a very happening part of the city. It's a very, very popular in-demand area. Extremely expensive to buy, a single family house here, but not quite as bad if you're looking to maybe buy an apartment or if you're looking to rent. Again, if you don't need a lot of space, I think it's going to be relatively affordable for most people. So an expensive area to own a home, but again, if you're young and you need to be in the mix, you need to have a lot of things to do, you want to meet people, Inman Park, I mean, it's impossible to go wrong there. I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed living in Inman Park. It's walkable, it's a Beltline neighborhood, and there's lots of great restaurants in Inman Park itself for you to enjoy. So that is why it's number 3 on my list. All right, coming in at number 4, I have the only neighborhood that's outside the perimeter, and it's Smyrna. This is a really up-and-coming neighborhood. This is an incredibly fast-growing neighborhood. It's just outside the perimeter to the northwest. This is now where the Atlanta Braves have their stadium at the Battery in the Smyrna area. And so this is a big attraction. You know, going to a Braves game is really fun. The new stadium is gorgeous. And it's not just the stadium, right? You have the Battery, which is this entire complex of restaurants that are open, whether or not there's a Braves game. There's a lot of fun things to do in this area, even outside of the Battery. Just in Smyrna itself, there are a lot of fun activities. There's a lot of young people out here. There's a lot of young business people starting their careers based out of Smyrna. So I definitely think it checks the boxes in terms of meeting new people, going out and events and things to do, and having new friend groups to enjoy. And it's a good mix of being, you know, just outside the city. You're not kind of in that dense downtown area like the previous neighborhoods we've been talking about. It's definitely going to be one of the safer areas on this list. So, you know, maybe you're a young woman, safety's not as much of a concern in the Smyrna area, but you've got the Braves, you've got the Battery, you've got really easy access in and out of the city, and there are a lot of businesses in Smyrna as well. So it could be you find yourself here in this general area working anyway. So it's also a great place to start or level up in your career potentially. So Smyrna has a lot going for it. It's going to continue to grow like crazy. Of all of the kind of suburbs north of Atlanta, Smyrna is probably most appropriate for a younger or single person. And so for that reason, it makes number 4 on my list. All right, last but not least, coming in at number 5, I have Glenwood Park. Now, Glenwood Park doesn't get talked about as much. It's a very tiny area, you know, smushed right in between like Reynoldstown and the Grant Park area. But recently, it has been developed in a way that makes it extremely desirable, and I think a perfect place for singles to live. In Glenwood Park, there's been an entire retail district and living district erected where, you know, there's apartments for rent, but there's also some great retail, coffee shop, bike shop, great local businesses for people to enjoy, tree-lined streets. It's a very nice, cozy atmosphere. It feels like you're tucked away in the city, even though you're really right in the heart of the city. So they've done a lot of really nice work in Glenwood Park. There's a Kroger shopping center there, so they're very convenient for that. And all you have to do is like bike, or you could even walk down Bill Kennedy towards Memorial in Reynoldstown. So, you know, there's a ton of stuff on Memorial. Reynoldstown didn't make the list, but, you know, there's NAMC. There's a lot of fancy restaurants and popular businesses that, you know, young people especially like to go to off of Memorial in the Reynoldstown area. The Beltline is right there. And so Glenwood Park is right all in the mix of that. So not on a lot of people's radar, but it's a great in-town location, very peaceful feel, lots of cool things to do in Glenwood Park itself, and it's right next to Reynoldstown, which has even more things to do. So again, a little bit more on the expensive side because you are in the heart of the city in terms of buying, but totally viable for the average person to rent in this area. I think it's a place where you'll meet a ton of new people and you'll have endless things to do in and around this area. So there you have it, my top 5 best neighborhoods in Atlanta for singles. I do have one runner-up that I couldn't bear to include in the top 5, and that is Buckhead. I'll just say really quickly that, well, Buckhead is not a place that I particularly like to spend a lot of time in. It does make a lot of sense for singles. Now, this is one of the richest areas of Atlanta, and so I don't think you may be looking at purchasing a multi-million-dollar single-family home in Buckhead, but of course, you can rent an apartment or condo or townhome in Buckhead, relatively affordable if you don't need a lot of space, and the reality is there is a lot going on in Buckhead. Of course, you've got a lot of the high-end retail shopping, Lenox Mall, Phipps Plaza. So it's a place to see and be seen. A lot of popular nightclubs are in Buckhead. And it makes the honorable mention not just because it's a very ritzy, fancy place for people to go see and be seen, but also a lot of big business here, a lot of money here. So this is a place, if you're a single person, you're looking to get in the door for some type of industry or make a career jump, Buckhead does make a lot of sense. Now, the Traffic is terrible. The people can be a little superficial from time to time. It's not personally my favorite place to go out to a nice restaurant or evening out, but I did have to put it on the honorable mentions because it does have a lot going for it for a single person. All right, so there you have it. If you're single and moving to Atlanta, this is a fantastic city to live in. There are a lot of great neighborhoods, not just the ones that I talked about in this video, but those 5 and the runner-up I mentioned are great options for you to look at initially. If you need more help, you need more questions answered about this topic, all you gotta do is book an appointment with me. There's a link in the description below. You can book a Zoom call, give me a call directly, email me, text me, whatever you want to do. Thank you so much for watching. As I always say, go right into the playlist. There's a lot of other great videos. If you are relocating here, this channel should be your resource for figuring out all the information you need to make it as smooth a transition as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. And until my next video, I'll see you next time.